Hello and welcome to another tactical video. This is SkaredCast, and today we're talking about the role and use of both dedicated transports within the Dark Eldar army, the Raider and the infamous Venom. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to another SkaredCast tactical video, this being video number 15, discussing the new Dark Eldar release. Today we're going to be talking about the two forms of transportation in the Dark Eldar army, barring the Webway portal, the Raider and the infamous Venom. The video will be in a few parts. The first section will talk about each one and what they are for new players. The second will talk about tactics involving their use for veteran Archons and Archites and Succubi and Homunculi. And then we will chat a little bit about their role within the new Homunculus Coven book, because it will switch a little bit. So, let's get started. I hope you've been enjoying these tactical videos. Make sure you check out all the other ones that we've done so far on the main channel, as there is quite a lot of content to get through. Let's start with the Raider. Lightweight and maneuverable, Raiders are open-decked, piratical skiffs whose hulls are fitted with sword-sharp fins and jagged keels with which to rip apart the foe. Though each of these craft is customized by its owning cabal, all have certain key features in common. A repulsor keyblade manned by a talented steersman, enhanced ether sails to harness the energies flowing from the Webway portal from which they descend, and a pro-mounted heavy weapon to sow terror amongst the enemy. Raiders are ideally suited for the fast-paced, running battles of a Dark Eldar raid, swarming around and above the enemy like sharks scenting blood. After a successful attack, enemy survivors will be lashed or chained to the Raiders, or simply impaled upon their trophy hooks like blood-soaked dolls. So, the Raider is the main, transport. It is, quite physically, a brown paper bag that you put models in terms of survivability. It is a ballistic skill 4 tank with armor in the front, side, and rear of 10, with 3 hull points. It is a skimmer that's fast and open-topped, and it is a transport that can carry up to 10 models. Point cost is 55 points. So, for 55 points, it's about 20 points more than a Rhino. Same transport capacity. Open top, so it's an assault vehicle. And sports, at the base cost, a disintegrator cannon, which is a 36-inch range, strength 5 AP2, heavy 3 gun. Kind of like a multiple shot plasma gun that's got less strength and more range. So, just for its base cost, you have quite an interesting little tank. It's very fast, it's designed to get troops into the fray, and it's still a paper bag. Very, very fragile. So, what kind of special rules does it have? What makes the Raider so fantastic? Well, it does come stock with deep strike, so any unit in a Raider can deep strike. You can just keep anything, whether it's an HQ, a Court of the Archon, a Venom, a grotesque unit, rack units, warriors, witches, I don't know, anything you want to put in there, and have it deep strike. So this is risky, of course, because you don't know when they're going to show up, but being a skimmer, it's very easy to reposition if you deep strike into the wrong location, or you're far away, you want to be deep striking relatively conservatively and then kind of boost up to where you need to go. And it does have night vision as well, meaning it can just see through the dark, ignoring the bonuses for night fight. Being a transport, it's 10 models. And at its base, it is a fast attack choice. So, there are two ways you can use a raider. You can buy it as a gunboat in the fast attack section, or you can buy it for different units as a specified dedicated transport. Depending on what the unit is, and of course you can buy it for units that can't even fit in the raider if you want, and then just have it fly around and pick up allies or whatever you want. Now, it does have a few options, so we'll use this to kind of discuss the different options that a raider can take. So first and foremost, a raider can take a Dark Lance for 5 points. So it increases its point value to 60 points, and then it has a one-shot, so heavy 1, strength 8, AP 2, 36-inch range lance weapon. Decent choice if you have a lot of folks who play anti-armor, or if you have a raider that just wants to sit back and crack open armored transports. Personally, all my raiders have lances, simply because in the old book they just came with a lance or a disintegrator cannon, and just keeping the lance was probably the de facto choice. Now I'm not so inclined to automatically include the lance, and I think it will depend on the role of the raider. If I'm running a raider that's full of close combat troops that I will be moving and boosting up to the enemy zone, first of all, raiders normally die anyway, so I want to keep it cheap. Secondly, I don't want to be tempted to sit back and shoot when I want to get up there fast with enhanced sails or something. So I want to keep the lance off, just throw a disintegrator cannon on it, so the enemy can focus as much fire as they want on it, give it some night shield so it can jink around, and then unload its target at close range. And then the lances, if you have a unit of warriors or something that's sitting back and you need another lance support to crack some tanks, absolutely, go right ahead. It really depends on what your list needs. Now, it can take any of the Dark Eldar vehicle equipment list. These include chain snares, enhanced sails, grizzly trophies, a shock prow, night shields, torment grenade launcher, or a splinter rack. Now they range from 5 points to 15 points. We have 2 5-point upgrades, the chains and the sails, 2 10-point upgrades, the trophies and the shock prow, and 3 15-point upgrades, night shield, torment launcher, and splinter racks. Now each of these upgrades drastically changes the role of the raider. Now it's interesting to think that normally, you don't really have much choice in terms of what a transport does. But with raiders, adding on these little things can really change the dynamic completely. Now, don't put all the upgrades on one raider. You will end up with a 100-point, very expensive brown paper bag that will die, and then you've wasted all these points. So keep it very focused to the role that you have set in mind for this raider, right? So let's start. Let's go through these upgrades and what they do. I believe it'll be a good thing to quickly run through them, and like that we can have them as reference. Okay, so chain snares. A vehicle equipped with chain snares is allowed to tank shop, even if it's not a tank, but it still can't ram. It's not allowed to ram. It can just tank shock. Okay, not bad. That's okay for things like, personally I like it on a Venom, but it's cheap. So if you just want to be able to tank shock and have like an objective secured raider that you'd like to tank shock people with to steal objectives and stuff like that, I like the fact that we can tank shock with something like that. It's kind of neat. It's just quick, easy, simple. I can tank shock with my raider. Okay, cool. Not something I would relatively use because I don't really use tank shocking a lot. Enhanced Ether sails. A vehicle equipped with enhanced air sails can move up to 24 inches when moving flat out. So instead of moving 18 inches, it gets an extra 6. So 12 plus 24, that raider can move 36 inches in one turn. Fantastic for any raider that has a unit in it that you need to redeploy or get close to the enemy fast. Witches, grotesques, huge incubi bomb, or even a squad of warriors that you want to move quickly to get to a position where they're on an objective far away, especially in Maelstrom missions. They can just redeploy, and the speed is unparalleled. And for 5 points, it's not a bad upgrade, especially if you don't buy the Dark Lance. Then why not buy some sails? Grizzly trophies. All friendly units with the Dark Eldar faction within 6 inches of a vehicle with Grizzly trophies reroll failed leadership tests. Not too bad. The price went up from the last codex. Can be handy, but I don't think it's as good as it was before, simply because turn 5 or turn 4, depending on the formation, or even turn 3 if you've been using like an Animus Vitae, all your Dark Eldar units will be fearless. Boom. So, by the way, little tip or trick, I just thought about this yesterday. With the Power from Pain rule, all your Dark Eldar models will be fearless turn 5. So if anybody shoots at any of your units on turn 4, go to ground. Especially if you have the top of the turn. Just go to ground with every single miniature you own on turn 4. Turn 5, they're all fearless and they all get back up and act as normal. Just a little trick. Okay, Night Shields. A vehicle with Night Shields has the Stealth special rule. Okay, this is great on Raiders. It's fantastic. It means that with a Jink plus Stealth, it's a 3+ cover save. Behind a Ruin, with Stealth, 3+ cover save. Behind a Ruin, at a stark angle, so the opponent is shooting you from the front arc, but can't see the front arc, can only shoot the side arc, 2+ cover save. So, it is well worth its 15 points, but I would only use it on Raiders that are designed to get into a position and just soak up a ton of firepower. So you can just run the grotesques up or run the incubi up and jink, and hope that your opponent doesn't have a lot of ignore cover weapons, because wave serpents and things that ignore cover will murder a Night Shielded Raider, and you're putting quite a bit of investment in. So not something I would spend across the board, but something I would spend on select Raiders just to make them more survivable. Okay? A Torment Grenade Launcher is another one. It is an additional weapon, kind of like the Phantasm Grenade Launcher on an Archon or a squad leader. It is a 24-inch range, Strength 1 AP dash, Assault 1 blast that has the Soul Fright special rule, which is a leadership test for the unit that you hit with the blast, and they will suffer 1 additional wound with no armor or cover saves allowed for each point they fail the leadership test by. That's kind of cool. It's not bad. It can be really good against, and they can only be allocated models without the fearless or without the and they shall know no fear special rule. So demons and orcs and necrons and things like that, you can do some additional damage that way. It could be kind of fun. Now this gets really interesting when you combine it with the special rule from the Coven book, where any enemy unit within 12 of a model, including the vehicles, of a Coven army is at -1 leadership, right? And then the Armor of Misery, which all enemy units within 6 inches have a -2 to their leadership. So you could use a deep striking raider with a webway portal with a Tormentor grenade launcher from the Coven book with an Archon inside with the -2 leadership armor, and literally have a psychological bomb unit. Drop it within 6 inches. Remember, the radius for the armor is from the hull of the tank. And if you're going to do it this way, you've given your Archon a Phantasm grenade launcher, and you've given the squad leader inside the unit that deep struck a Phantasm grenade launcher and a Tormentor grenade launcher on the raider. So you just use them, and any unit within 6 inches is at -3 leadership, taking a leadership test, and for every wound they fail by, they take additional damage. can be rather strong, especially if you combine it with Eldar allies and then just start dropping leadership down with like runes of battle, or different things like telepathy and stuff like that, like Terrify and whatnot. So little things that you can do, but that raider would be very specifically designed to do just that. So you wouldn't want to spend a lot of upgrades on other things, because it is an expensive upgrade on your brown paper bag. Now, it can take a shock prow, but it means it can tank shock and ram, so it's a little bit more expensive. But when it rams, it counts as having armor 14. So the base strength hit would be a strength 7 hit, right? It's not a tank, so it wouldn't get that at all. So you could, kind of ram through some light tanks and stuff if you really wanted to. The only thing is that it gets hit at strength 7 too, so you want to be careful with that. And last but not least, the Splinter Axe. Splinter Axe are fantastic when you combine them with the use of any splinter weapons. Splinter rifles, splinter cannon. Just makes them twin link while they're embarked on the tank. Fantastic for gunboats. I've been using a unit of 10 warriors in a raider with just splinter rifles and a blaster, Saberite with a haywire grenade, and Splinter Axe on the raider. Very, very fun unit to especially keep in reserve just off your board edge and let your opponent come to you and try and rush you, and then bring them out as a gunboat that has a ton of twin link shooting, or deep striking them in and picking a target and murdering the target that you shoot at. So those are the different ways you can use it. We've seen super fast with enhanced sails to run up and dump something in the enemy. We've seen survivable with night shields, right? Combined with the fast moving one, great. Or if you were doing like a sit back behind cover kind of army. Or a Splinter Axe, which is twin linking everything inside that's a splinter weapon. Or the psychological bomb one. That is probably one of my favorites, but it really depends on who you play, because it won't affect models with And They Shall Not Have Fear and Fearless. Keep in mind though, if you have a unit that has some models with And They Shall Not Have Fear or Fearless and some that are not, then when you hit it, it would only hit the models that don't have it, because the hits would be allocated to models specifically that don't have Fearless or And They Shall Not Know Fear. Little tip or trick as well right there. So let me know what you think about the Raiders, how you use them, and leave a comment down below. So, next we will chat about the trusty and feared and hated Venom. So Venoms are smaller skiffs, and we will talk about them now. Dark Eldar raids rely heavily on surprise and raw speed, qualities that are embodied by the Venom. Rather than present a single obvious target, a Dark Eldar raid attacks in a malignant swarm in order to confound the guns of the foe. During such attacks, it is the largest craft that bear the brunt of enemy fire. The most devious Dark Eldar, therefore, ride to war mounted upon Venoms. Should even a single craft penetrate the enemy defenses, it can be enough to sow the seeds of destruction, laying down some supporting fire as its lethal cargo goes to work. The best Venom pilots use the raiders of their erstwhile comrades for cover, darting between them at breakneck speeds as they close on the foe. This makes Venoms especially popular with the aristocratic Trueborn, who think nothing of allowing their half-breed kin to soak up enemy fire intended for them. So Venom is a smaller, even lighter paper bag. Make it tissue paper, not brown paper. And it's the same point cost as a Raider for 55 points. It is a ballistic skill 4 tank with a front, side and rear armor of 10 and 2 hull points. So stiff breeze will knock one down. It is a vehicle which is a skimmer, fast, and it's open-topped as well as transports. And the transport capacity is 5 models. So, same cost as a Raider, half the transport capacity as a Raider, but what makes a Venom tick? First of all, it's tiny, so it's easy to hide behind cover. Secondly, it comes with this twin-link splinter rifle, which is a 24-inch Strength X, Poison 4 plus, AP 5, rapid fire weapon, and it's twin linked. A Splinter Cannon, which is a salvo 4/6, 36 inches, heavy 4/6, salvo 4/6, 36 inches, AP 5, Poison 4 plus cannon. A Flicker Field, which gives a tank a 5 plus invulnerable save. And it comes with Deep Strike, so like Raiders, they can Deep Strike anywhere on the board if you'd like. And Night Vision, so enemy night doesn't affect us. And so that's pretty much it. It's basically just a gunboat. It's got a ton of shots. And the options are give it vehicle equipment, although its equipment list is reduced from what the Raider can get, and replace its twin-link Splinter Rifle with a second Splinter Cannon for 10 points. Always do the second Splinter Cannon for 10 points. There is no reason why you wouldn't want 12 shots that are poisoned AP5 at 36 inches plus the movement. So technically 48 inches if you move 12 and fire both guns. There is no reason why you wouldn't do that. Take the double cannon always. And then take a good helping of Venoms in any list. I would suggest 4 at least. But, if I'm feeling friendly enough, I'll only take like 2. Because Venoms, point for point, are fantastic with their 2 Splinter Cannons. So let's look at the upgrades, because unlike Raiders, upgrades don't really define a Venom, in my opinion. A Venom is a gunboat, plain and simple, that is very, very fragile. You get a lot of damage output, but you will die if you get shot at a lot. And even bolters or little arms fire will just knock out 2 hull points in a heartbeat. So you have to be careful, of course, putting threats out there and hoping that your Venoms stay alive. And some opponents know Venoms are strong, and they've always been strong, they always will be strong. So keep them alive as long as you can to put that pressure on. Great against monstrous creatures, great against infantry, great against tough stuff, and they can't do anything against tanks at all, so don't worry about that. So they can take chain snares. You can make a Venom tank shot if you like. It's relatively cheap. They can take Grizzly trophies if they want. So those are the only 2 upgrades they can have. They can either help nearby units re-roll leadership tests, or they can tank shock. I personally just keep them stock with a double cannon, and then what really changes their role is what you put in the Venom. An Archon by himself can take a Venom as a transport. You can give it to Courts of the Archon, so small courts. You can give it to Trueborn. Classic is giving a unit of Trueborn 4 blasters and running them as a mini close range Ravager with a Venom, so you can deal with tanks and anti-infantry. You can do Grotesque can't take them. Racks can, 5 racks with a couple liquefy guns, drop them down and flame stuff. You can run another classic in the troops choice is 5 Cablite warriors with a blaster. So you have a lance weapon, you have a lot of anti-infantry firepower, and very, very good mobility. So that's fantastic. And I highly recommend those little units of warriors in a Venom. And you can use 5 witches in a Venom. Great for, just tying up units or having a haywire grenade with some invulnerable saves. Now that Cablite warriors can take the haywire grenade, not as appealing in my opinion, but great if you're running a themed list, because you can have a whole bunch of different things. You can run, that's it really. And then you can run them as a fast attack choice, because they are a fast attack option. So just run them empty as gunboats. Just physically run, 3 just Venoms with guns, or take the formation from the Dark Eldar book and run 6 of them with guns. The most Venoms you can fit in a Dark Eldar detachment are 19 Venoms. It's a lot of shots. If you do the math, it's not actually that much. The way you do this is 6 fast attack choices, 6 troop choices, that's 12, 3 elite choices, that's 15, 2 Archons, each one with a Venom, right? So that's 16, 15, 17, sorry. And then 2 Courts of the Archon with Venoms. That's 19. Of course, you can put some Raiders in there if you really wanted something different. But I think you can fit that into 1850 almost no problem. It's a lot of Venoms and Raiders, and you just keep everything cheap. And if you go first, your opponent's probably not going to like you very much. But just something to keep in mind. The Dark Eldar are definitely not chums when it comes to competitive gaming, I'll tell you that right now. Okay, so that's pretty much what it is about the Venoms. Now, we talked a little bit about Raiders and their use in the Coven book. The -1 leadership is great. And the Dark Eldar the same. The Venoms the same. -1 leadership to any unit within 12. Means that dropping off little units of racks, doing some damage, keeping them nearby. If they win combat, they're more likely to run their opponent down. And, using it as a terror bomb as well, combined with the terror bomb. Just, smaller if you don't want to spend too many points on a larger unit, or you want to be able to hide better. And other than that, just make sure that when you play with Venoms, you focus on a target until it's eliminated, and then focus on the next target until it's eliminated. And try and do that while mitigating opposing damage. Sometimes you have to sacrifice Venoms, that's fine. Just keep them cheap, keep them nasty, and just shoot your opponent down with lots of pain and suffering, which is the Dark Eldar way. So what are your thoughts? Let us know down in the comments below. Check out the other tactical videos if you haven't. Subscribe, like, and favorite the channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much. Make sure you stay tuned. At 4,000 subscribers, we will be doing some sort of a contest to give back to the community for all your support. This is Skari, your grateful host. Thanks a lot for watching, and stay tuned for more content.